Welcome to our weekly report. We're back after a great holiday break. We are Phase 4 ground, and our mission is to implement an open source version of the DVB-S2 and DVB-S2X and generic stream encapsulation protocols for amateur radio, for both space and ground. The project includes the radios and central server or GroundSat. It's named GroundSat because it's a satellite simulator on the ground, providing the same functions a broadband microwave payload would in order to create a network. All the digital video broadcasting protocols that we are working with can be found for free at the link in the notes, and from links on our homepage. Note that GSE allows any digital data to be transmitted. We are not implementing a system limited to MPEG video. DVB World Conference is coming up. Anyone near Warsaw? That's where it's at for 2018. Our reference design is in GNU Radio, and we have some of the blocks done. We need plenty more, and upcoming videos will go into detail for each one. Learn all about GNU Radio here. Engineering for Phase 4 Ground is done primarily on our email list and Slack accounts. We have a YouTube playlist at the link in the notes. This includes our video reports and videos that are of use or interest to Phase 4 Ground volunteers. Please subscribe and let us know what you'd like to hear about most. Phase 4 Space is a very new, open-source, public domain project for broadband microwave amateur radio satellites. Why? Well, because Phase 4 Ground wants a lot of payloads to talk to. We'll be using two wonderful open-source resources to start out with: AO10 Blueprints and UpSat, the open-source satellite currently operational from Libra Space Foundation. To volunteer directly for either, visit the volunteer resource page at amsat.org, the direct link is in the notes, or send an email to me to get started. Please welcome Pieros Papadeas to Phase 4. He's the program manager at Libra Space Foundation. This is a nonprofit organization developing open-source space technologies. They were founded in 2014 in Greece, but run global operations right now. Some of their headline projects include Nogs, a global open-source ground station network, nonprofit, open by design, APIs, etc., run by a global volunteer community. It's in active development, has an extensive stack of multiple technologies. 30-plus active ground stations around the world right now have logged more than 10 million packets gathered from 200-plus satellites. UpSat, UPSat, the first open-source software and hardware satellite. It was developed as part of the QB50 constellation, with all submodules designed from scratch and coded as open-source projects. The satellite is currently in orbit and operational. This is a wonderful design for us to start working from to create a microwave broadband satellite design. The link to UpSat is in your notes. Libra Space Foundation is also active in various other areas. They've invested into PocketCube reference designs, which is expected to be delivered in the first quarter of 2018, and they are assisting many satellite teams with TC&C and delivery. Libra Space Foundation also has rocketry and educational outreach activities as well. These are mainly in Greece. The Nogs repository is located at the link in the show notes. Ham Radio Workbench Podcast interviewed us on the 29th of December and recorded our recent IEEE talk about open-source satellites in San Jose, California in mid-December. Both recordings can be found at the link in the notes. A big thank you to George and all the volunteers for the Ham Radio Workbench podcast. If you don't subscribe, then please consider doing so. They are friendly, supportive, positive, and present technical topics in an accessible way. We've been invited to participate as an amateur radio exhibit at IEEE Radio Wireless Week, 14th through the 17th of January in Anaheim, California. Link is in the notes. I signed up for the CubeSat workshop as well, and will give a full video report about that. We spent some time putting together some proposals for AMSAT that address new challenges that the ITAR payload projects are facing. New data security regulations went into effect on the 1st of January 2018, and there need to be some changes to the way documents and email are handled within AMSAT engineering. Here is a link to a proposal for SVN server replacement with GitHub Enterprise. This GitHub Enterprise proposal has links to documents that explain the new regulations. Here they are for quicker reference in the notes. Controlled Unclassified Information, or CUI compliance, is the standard that we're shooting for. The web conferencing software and email servers need to be brought into compliance as well. There are some options here, and the discussion is ongoing. If you have experience and can give input on CUI compliance, then AMSAT Engineering can get back to engineering much faster, and more fun can be had by everyone. Please contact me, and I'll put you in touch. For the new year, we have a lot of major milestones. We also have a schedule. I've committed full-time through January 2020. At that time, I hope we are clearly done, or almost so. If not, we will take stock, thoroughly document, and then decide what to do. The goal is to finish an open source implementation of DVB-S2 and S2X for the amateur satellite service and terrestrial use. We have a lot to do, and everyone is welcome to join. Phase 4 Ground has a badge project. An early version with a very fun gamer-oriented form factor will be available for sale very soon. These badges are based on the Bender Badge Framework. A link to that project is in the notes. The first version is scheduled for the JOCO cruise in February. A link to the cruise so you can see what the community is all about is in the notes. The radio-themed version, called Trans-Ionospheric, is scheduled for reveal at Dayton. The retro styling is based on the Zenith Transoceanic, and it will have custom games and surprises. In the future, these badges can show Phase 4 Ground radio status, such as channel health and acquisition status, through a Bluetooth connection. They're customizable and hackable. The badge effort is a very fun part of the project, but it also serves a purpose. It's given us an opportunity, for many of us, to work together on an electronic and software design for the first time, iron out tool chains, develop style and creative expressions, improve communications, and get experience managing bills of material and build schedules. Some of us are putting together Nogs stations and seeing what needs to be done in order to get them working for Phase 4 Ground. The baseline receiver is an RTL SDR, but the relatively small bandwidth of that device means that it will only work for lower symbol rate deployments of Phase 4 radios. For the full 10 MHz, you'll need more RF bandwidth. Fortunately, there's a lot of choices here, and we'll be setting up our stations to test them out. The baseline controller is a Raspberry Pi, and that may not have enough horsepower to decode our forward error correction, but we are making progress on that as well. Being part of and supporting the SatNogs network sounds like a big step forward. And because all of this is open source, we have the opportunity to adapt an existing working quality design to our needs. So not a bad report for what we did over winter vacation. I hope you're having a great weekend. See you on Monday.